We are the Nerd Eternal Network.
Hello and welcome to Icons of the Wider World. Brought to you by the Nerd Eternal Network. I'm your GM for the day, Jason, and with me will be Curtis playing Landshark, Mike playing Snapdragon, Zach playing Wolf Witch, and Taylor playing Muckboot.
Howdy, howdy.
Let's see. Last game we wrapped up with the Spear team in Japan. Essentially overrunning and let's see. Y'all had pretty well decided they were aliens. You're pretty sure they were aliens. Alien base guarded by automatons. Rescued some kidnapped Japanese citizens that were apparently being farmed for their blood. That was about it. It was a big brawl in an alien blood bank.
Well, and the one alien had a very specific characteristic about him, which is the fact he had way too much, way too connected to his mama.
True, he did have mommy issues.
Well, I don't think they were issues. He just, talked about his mother a lot.
And did whatever she said.
And exploded.
And then died for her.
Eat them, but mother, they're my friends.
He also kind of had a explosive temper.
Reasonable, I'd say pretty reasonable.
He's pretty explosive at the end.
I don't know. It's not like he took out a city block or anything, though. It was just kind of self-destruction. But shifting through his remains, it became obvious he was a artificial intelligence as well. Though he had personality, unlike the combat droids that were really just kind of drones from the way they acted.
And if I remember right, they weren't actually drinking the blood or feeding off of it. They were using it to build stuff.
Yes, they were using it in the production of some sort of material. It was a metal. Just what little examination you could give it at the base, you didn't recognize what it was. I believe Toss Up had kept a sample.
Yeah, I think so.
I think he had kept a sample. Mighty Task Force Cybernetic 5 had kept a sample, but the bulk of it was given over to the Japanese government. And the task force AI was going to continue trying to get into the aliens' computer systems and figure that stuff out. But that's all right. They're off doing that. We're jumping over to another group of heroes today. Not really a team per se. So since the last session that we saw Landshark, what has Landshark been up to?
Well, so we are setting this in Australia, correct?
We're going to wind up in Australia.
Okay,
He can already be there, but he doesn't have to already be there.
I had an idea to already have him there.
All right, go for it.
Since he was basically asked, was it the entire state or just the city of New York?
Just the city of New York.
Just the city of New York. I think he decided to hang low and got the idea to maybe, skip the states for a little while. And so I think Jay probably teleported him to Australia, where he is currently trying to address some of his fears and practicing, trying to learn surfing. Which, of course, you can picture he's not ever getting in the water. He's just like the feeding birds in the surf, where they chase the waves out onto the sand to catch the whatever crabs or clams have washed up, and when the waves start coming back in, he just turns right back around and runs back up to the dry land or dryish land.
Is he still wearing his fin?
Oh, of course. Probably a fin and, one of those short sleeve body surfing suits with a shark on it.
They
And a
have sharks around
pointed
Australia.
surfboard. Oh, sure, yeah. Which is, one of the reasons he chose to go there if he was going to try to confront his fear of water, because if he's surfing in Australia, there's a better chance he'd get attacked by a shark. Which for him would be a bonus.
So he said, I'm picturing him in that get-up, holding the surfboard, standing on the beach, working up his nerve, and then as soon as the water starts to recede, all right, I'm going to do it. Ah, ah.
Basically, yes. That's exactly what it's like.
Maybe with the surfboard, maybe he just throws the surfboard in the air and runs back. He has a stack of surfboards where he keeps having to try.
He runs from the wave, probably throws the surfboard on the dry sand and jumps on it. It's like, I did it! I did it!
Doesn't get out far enough in the water for it to actually float.
No, it doesn't get in the water at all, I'm sure.
Well, you've made the local news in this part of Australia then. Because, you're a pretty recognizable guy. Not world famous particularly. But internet being what it is, they can, when videos of this pop up online, people can immediately link it to other videos that are of you.
Oh, I'm sure people would look at it and think, oh my god, what is this idiot? I'm putting it on YouTube.
You have a few, helpful beachgoers come by and suggest that, actually putting the surfboard in the water helps. Muck Boot and Snapdragon. The two of you have been traveling the U.S. Did you have any particular destinations in mind? Or have y'all just loaded up in a pickup truck and are you just driving around, do good, and wherever y'all happen to be?
Yeah, I don't know if I have any particular.
I can't say Muckboot would have a destination in mind. He's just kind of like trying to reconnect with Earth and see what's been happening this time he hasn't been here.
Well, there's a fair bit of history that's going on, so.
I might be inclined to visit. Let's see. Oh, I might be inclined to visit the sequoias, wherever the tallest trees in the continental U.S. would be.
Okay.
That'll bring us closer to Australia.
Muckboot would be begrudgingly go with you. Because Muckboot would have a very specific way of looking at Australia. Because that's where all the criminals went. Why would I want to go where we put all the criminals? No distaste towards the native people there. It's just, it's mostly not the native people anymore.
So I'm going to say y'all are headed, let's see. Oh, yeah, you were saying sequoias. I was thinking redwoods for some reason.
Maybe that's what I was thinking. Are they not the same? Here's where I admit my ignorance of North American plant life.
It may be the same thing. Yeah, giant sequoias. Known as redwoods. Yeah, okay, it's the same thing.
Cool.
Then you jump to Australia. I was like, is that an Australian tree? And I had to go check. So y'all have not made it to California yet. You were driving around. You heard about the sequoias. I was like, ooh, that's something I want to see.
Might be a good place for an embassy.
But, Muckboot's kind of like there's a lot of country between, the two. Yeah, y'all can hit a few places between. Is there anywhere
have the world's largest ball of yarn. It's wasteful, but it's so magnificent.
What about these big trees? Them big trees have been there for thousands of years. They'll wait. The yarn is, relatively new.
If the humans ain't killed him yet, they ain't gonna kill him for a little while longer.
The humans. Muckboot has clearly been off planet too long. Next, he'll be calling them Earthmen.
Him. Muckboot has a greater understanding of the universe now. Planets just have beings on them. You just broadly dictate. It ain't gonna be no specific human that kills the trees. It's gonna be a collective effort by accident. Seen it too many times now.
That's the panic scramblings of somebody that spilled liquid on a computer.
Yeah, I just dropped a bit of soup, but that's okay. It was not that bad. Nowhere near the computer.
Don't worry. The ants, gnats, and flies later will enjoy this feast.
Cats don't get to the birds.
I've been having a gnat crawler in my house. I don't know where they're coming from.
Outside.
I don't know where they'd be coming into the house from. Let me put it that way. Anyway. So you two have thus far made it as far as Nashville, Tennessee.
Is that where the biggest ball of yarn is? Or we haven't made it that far yet? We're just in Nashville no matter what.
Let's see, biggest ball of yarn. Where is the biggest ball of yarn?
The biggest ball of twine is in like Wisconsin or Minnesota. But yarn, I did not know.
Darwin, Minnesota.
Oh, twine is in Kansas.
I'm gonna be real with you. I had no. I knew there was one that existed. Didn't know where it was.
I mean, yeah, there's got to
I
be.
just used it as an example. Please do not take me too seriously.
Anyway.
I mean, yeah, there's some ball of yarn that's bound to be the biggest one. Anyway, we're in Nashville.
Because I have a picture of Nashville handy to put up.
Can y'all hear me right now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Discord was freaking out on me. It said it couldn't hear me, but obviously it can because you can hear me.
And y'all may not be stopping in Nashville for any particular reason. You may just be driving through. You drive past the.
Yeah, I might have had a translation problem that insisted on going to Dollywood.
Let's see. You do drive by. There's stuff. There's a few things to see in Nashville. They've got the Parthenon. Is if you've never been there, it's kind of neat. It's a scaled down to the one in Athens, but it's still got big statue of Athena inside.
I didn't know we had our own Parthenon.
Yep, like I said, we went there senior year, I guess. It's scale. I think it's like half the size, a third the size. I forget exactly. But it's still kind of a neat thing to see, though. And Wolf Witch, I'm assuming, has probably been going about her daily life.
Yeah, just about.
So you've been, let's see, running your bookstore.
Perhaps there'll be a cameo from Everlast.
What now?
Perhaps there'll be an Everlast cameo in the background. Sweeping or something.
Behold, there's Everlast putting books on shelves.
She can crack this building in half. But she's only just now learning the Dewey Decimal System.
Who came up with this?
What was wrong
Is
with
this
alphabetical?
torture?
Actually,
This
Wolf
feels
Witch
like
might be
torture.
older than Dewey Decimal, so I don't know if that would be how she would organize her books.
Let me Google it, actually.
But,
Well, Wolf Witch probably organizes by color. Let's be real.
Seth is off that day, though you have probably been spending some time training him. He's got kind of the innate powers from his previous incarnation. But he's really focusing more on his expanding his magical knowledge now. Where he was kind of a dabbler before.
Yeah, just like a youth, focusing on the cool powers instead of the wisdom to know what to do with them.
I'll teach him how to pull a rabbit out of a hat after he stops making the eggs explode trying to cook them with magic.
But so we will start in we will start in Nashville. Muckboot and Snapdragon are getting something to eat. Your last little stop, you had stopped off at a store called the Great Escape. Because it had a sign in the window about records, and Muckboot didn't realize those things were still around. Oh, actually, how far back do records go? Do any kind of recordings go?
That's a good question. I bet they weren't in existence. I feel
They probably weren't. That was probably more.
I mean, to be fair, any physical media, anything that isn't, I don't know, that lands in the technological gap.
Yeah.
That lands in me not really knowing quite what it is. Now, granted, it's understandable that Muckboot would probably understand it like how you put your finger over a wine glass and circle it and it makes a noise.
Mm-hmm.
And just a really complicated version of that.
Yeah. 1878. It was a Thomas Edison thing. Okay.
Of course.
Which means it was somebody else. And
Yeah, I was going to say, what do we say?
which means somebody else did it in Menlo Park, and Thomas Edison beat them up.
Just stabbed him in the kidneys and ran
No,
off
he
with it.
just hired people with sticks.
So long, suckers.
There will be no respect for Thomas Edison in this house.
Actually, it looks like he invented the first way to record music that could actually be heard. The actual record was somebody else. He patented the gramophone. Somebody else patented the gramophone, and made which was the first vinyl record player. So never mind. That was 100 years too late for Muckboot.
Yeah, it falls in the gap. The very, very large technological gap.
Yep. For some reason, I was thinking of them being older than they were. But anyway. So, something somewhere caught Muckboot's attention. You stopped there, now you're getting lunch. And suddenly there's a large crash. You look down the road and you see a vehicle poking out of the front of a building.
Well, that's not right.
Is there any... I'll start running towards him, looking for what could have caused it.
Yeah, I suppose we'll both go and see what can be done.
You're getting there. There's a crowd starting to form. Somebody is already at the driver's side window, kind of tapping on the glass and calling out to a man slumped over the steering wheel. The two of you step up. The guy's already trying to get the door open. You see several people with their phones out, already calling 911. At least you hope some of them are. Some of them are clearly just recording.
Does the driver... is there anyone else besides the driver in the car?
You do not see anybody else in the car now.
Does the car look wrecked? Like it's not going to be operable anyway?
The front end is pretty mangled. you might be able to crack it up and back it out or something, but it's not that Muckboot would necessarily realize this, but any of us would look at it and go, "Oh, that thing's getting totaled out."
Well, it'd be more a thing of, to get him out, would it be easier to, break a window in the back, open the back door, then reach forward and open the front door? Does it look like the front is real messed up?
Either way you do it, you're going to have to work to get that door open a little bit because the way it's crumpled up, it's not going to open smooth. But as far as being better or worse, which window you break, not really. I mean, if you break the one right next to the guy, you want to be careful about not getting glass on him. But
And I guess I'll just, do we have anything for leverage, or do I just need to pull out my gun's bayonet? Just flick it open.
Well, I'm pretty sure a flintlock's the butt of a flintlock would be perfectly fine for breaking glass.
Well, now you're yes, but now you're talking about like they're trying to work the door, trying to just get what is basically an indestructible crowbar in there and just crack it.
Well, the door seems to be locked. They're not having any luck actually getting it to pop loose to even try to swing it all the way open.
Oh, okay then.
But other than that, there's a little masonry, bits of the brick and stuff from where it hit the wall that is
masonry.
Masonry, thank you. There's some of that later if you just wanted to pick up a big rock or pick up a brick and bust out a window.
Or I could claw a hole in the glass. I do have claws.
Oh, that would be a very easy way to do it.
I have a strike 4. That would be enough to cut.
To cut a car window, yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay, I can go ahead and have that. Awesome. So, would that require a roll, or is that just good to go?
No. So you cut your way into the glass. The guy that was trying to open the door he sees you and kind of steps back. You're like, whoa.
Don't worry, sir. We're just here to trying to help you get this man out.
Oh, okay. Is she a mutant?
She's not human, no.
Oh, she's like an alien. Oddly, he seems calmer when he says, "Oh, an alien." Like that's better.
Well, it means
Wow.
there's always the fear of this thing not being a tourist. When you say it's not from the world, they go, it's a tourist.
They're not here to stay.
People are a lot less scared of things when they ain't here to stay. Like the
That makes
circus.
a lot of sense, actually.
Well, you love to see the circus come to town. You hate to see it stay in the town.
Then it becomes a threat.
Then it must be something supernatural going on. No circus makes money staying in one spot. Though these days I'm not sure if any circus really makes money, but anyway. So you cut the glass, you've been in enough vehicles by now that you don't have any trouble working the lock. And you and Muckboot and whoever this bystander gentleman is, you're able to grab the door and you're bending. Basically, the front end is like this. It has been kind of pushed back and crumpled up. So the side panel is covering over part of the door, so you really have to work it to kind of bend that to get it open. But you do so. I mean, it's not. It's
Also,
an little aluminum side panel. So.
As Muckboot has learned, he cuts off the internal combustion engine.
It had already gone. It had already gone dead apparently. But reaching in and actually turning the key to turn it off is fine too.
I also know there's some form of electric battery in it, so I'm gonna cut it off and let him save his power if he salvages it for parts. I don't know what you do with broken vehicles in this place. I just salvage things. Use every part of the beast. You enlarge mechanical wheeled beast.
So you're able to check the guy. He's still breathing. He's pretty banged up. Does not look like his airbag deployed though. which it really should have, because this is very much a head-on collision.
Is he able to? Is he responsive?
No, he is unconscious. He's bleeding there. The front windshield kind of busted, so he got cut a little bit. He was wearing his seatbelt. Which is probably why he survived this at all.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone have any medical skill or?
I don't believe Snapdragon does.
I can shoot the blood back in him. That's about all I can do. I ain't exactly trained in the opposite of what I do.
You got any medical skill? Can I use my shooting for medical? No. Then no, I do not.
Do I have a bandage gun? Do I look like a man who carries a bandage gun? You put this in a rifle, I can do anything with it.
The only thing I could think to do is if he's not on the verge of death.
It doesn't look like he's bleeding or anything.
Okay,
not massive bleeding.
I might have tried to power stunt my pheromones into creating some kind of healing mist, which I could conceivably make a case for being able to do under duress by spending a determination point and activating Royal Dryad. But if he looks like he's not on the verge of death,
no, he looks banged up. He looks like he needs medical attention, but he's not bleeding out. His breathing seems to be pretty normal. You're already starting to hear sirens in the distance.
Yeah, Muckboot will call out to the audience. Has any of you out there contacted emergency medical services? Please raise your hand if you have.
And you actually see 2 or 3 of them that raise their hand. Oh, yeah, well, I called 911. Yeah. The operator said they're on the way.
Thank you, gentle citizenry, for your aid in this emergency.
Did anyone see this happen?
If you ask that, you get a couple of them nodding their heads. Yeah, he was just driving along, and it's like he kind of swerved over to one side.
Curious, so no one, no pun intended, drove into it. Actually, she probably wouldn't even know that's a pun. In any event, I don't know. I wonder if I guess, can we look around the car to see if there's any sign of anything that could have distracted him or caused the...
Did a wheel blow out?
There's one that's flat now, but there's something sticking out of it now, so...
Oh, what's that?
When it went into the building, it mostly went through a window, but one side kind of clipped the actual wall, which is why you've got broken masonry around and stuff. And it looks like it's some metal that was probably part of the window frame or something.
Okay.
Not like somebody shot it with an arrow or threw a spear into it, or
a projectile conveniently shaped in the icon of a known supervillain.
There's a batarang sticking out of there. Batman has crossed the line. Go ahead and give me an awareness.
Hey, not my worst stat.
Oh, I guess I do need to roll a difficulty for you. Nope, +2, not -2. Plus hand, +3. That's what reason. Alright, the number to beat was a 9.
We are observant, but not quite the best of it observant.
So Snapdragon does not notice anything in particular. I mean, you find the thing sticking out of the tire. Okay, well, that's clearly what flattened the tire. Nothing else looks like that looks like the only damage to the tire. So clearly it didn't blow out ahead of time. The people in the crowd, like I said, were like, the 1 or 2 that saw it were like, hey, he was just driving along and suddenly swerved. One guy's like, one guy actually got, is a little scuffed up. Talked about, he actually had to jump out of the way of the thing. He was on the sidewalk. and hadn't been paying the least bit of attention to the car other than that, But Muck Boot, crowd is gathered, and then once they go, once you somebody mentions that he's breathing, okay, ambulance on the way. You got a few people at the back of the crowd that kind of start drifting off.
That's fair. People got things to do.
Yeah. Show's over. Oh, he's alive. Okay, good. Yeah. Like I said, y'all are starting to hear the ambulances in the distance. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure that we'll be able to find anything out until we get an opportunity to speak to the person.
But
assuming this isn't just someone. We didn't see anything like an active cell phone in mid-text or anything, did we?
No. No, you don't see a cell phone or anything in the floorboards or anything. You can check his pocket and see if he's got one. But
if it's in his pocket, that's where it's supposed to be when you're driving.
Ambulance and a police car pull up. The crowd kind of parts. Policeman gets out telling everybody to back up. Though the crowd was, decently back anyway. He steps up, does a little double take at Snapdragon. Can somebody tell me what happened here? He looks at Muck Boot.
We were over there in the diner eating. We heard the crash. Came out here. As far as I can tell, nothing has possessed the man to such a sharp turn as to crash. Like, we don't see anything that caused an engine failure or the tires go out immediately evident. And no one says there was oncoming traffic to direct him in this building.
He nods his head. The EMTs have gotten out of the ambulance, and they've come up and they're checking him over, and they've got the little stretcher. And you see they're very careful about about the fact idea that he might have a back injury or something. Like you would be after a crash, not that, well, if there's any obvious sign of it, but as they're getting him strapped down, the police officer steps over. Let's see, would he check his pockets? Yeah, I'm going to say the officer checks his ID. From where you're standing, Snapdragon, you can kind of glance down, and you don't recognize the state the license is from. I mean, you're new; you don't have all 50 states memorized, but you've never, you don't think you've heard of the state of Australia.
Australia.
At least you assume that's the state name. You're not really sure. The something territories in Australia.
Yeah. Hey, Muck Boot, we're not. Where is this Australia?
Oh, Australia. It's one of the greater land masses. It's about halfway around the world from us.
Because it looks like this driver's from there. And then I'll point at the license plate.
Well, it's not the license plate on the car; it was his driver's license. The officer checked it. And when you ask about Australia, the officer looks back at you and kind of covers up the license, like, "Oh, it's supposed to be letting you snoop." But he takes a quick snap of it on his phone, puts it back in the guy's wallet, and leaves it with him. But as the EMTs wheel the guy off, the officer checks the glove box of the car. Guy. Check. It's like he's looking at the insurance, the registration and stuff.
Yeah, Mugboot will look at the back of the car. Is there a tag? That
There
usually
he
says
is.
The name of a state on it.
The tag is for Tennessee.
Okay.
Yeah, but
There is also a car rental place's little sticker or whatever on the back of the car. It wouldn't be on the tag necessarily. Like a Hertz or whatever.
I will refuse to say the name of any specific rental car place. Mostly because I hate one of them. But
Bad
alright.
experience.
So they tried real hard to get me in something I didn't want.
Oh, hard sell.
And it was expensive too, so like why would I want it? But anyway. But alright, like there's nothing strange like a license plate that makes absolutely no sense, like it being from a license plate of the state of Australia.
No, nothing like that.
And being some weird alternate future person.
No. This guy did not pop in from some alternate dimension and being startled.
I don't feel like Snapdragon would know that we could go to track down where this car is rented from, and then try to find out who rented it from there. I don't feel like she'd have enough.
Well, Snapdragon don't have enough information, and Muckboot don't care. Oh
She would be
man,
interested in maybe talking to the guy once he comes to.
the guy drove so poorly, he hit something. Don't make a whole lot of sense, but then again, I've seen people walk into trees.
And the man's name on the license was Trevor Tennant.
Trevor Tennant.
Oh, he got that double letter. He's important. Oh no.
When I picked this name, I wonder if anybody is going to jump to that conclusion just based on the fact that he's got the alliteration going on thing.
The double letter always means there's some messed up jazz with them.
Yeah, it's a little meta, but yeah.
But the cops walks around. He takes a full statement from you. A couple more officers show up and start helping take statements, and everybody does around. Mugboot, when you're done giving yours, you hear somebody behind you. Somebody else in the crowd. Kind of give a little And when you turn around, somebody in the crowd, you've already, he was at the front of the crowd. He's one of the guys that raised his hand about, calling 911 or whatever. He's looking over at this guy next to him, just looking startled. And the guy's looking at, he's basically turning, oh, sorry about that, mate. Where did you come from? Oh, I just walked up. Sorry, I didn't mean to sneak up on you. And you see that guy start asking, the one that was startled, what happened here, And then starts asking me, did you see an older man? And he starts to describe an older black man. Yay tall, may have been barefoot. The guy that did the startling is also black. And he's dressed. It almost makes you think of like a park guide. Like outdoorsy. He's dressed like he's outdoorsy clothing. The fella from the crowd, gives him the rundown that everybody's giving the cops that you guys got. He steps forward. Muck Booty sees you looking at him, and he kind of steps forward to you. Excuse me, fella. Did you happen to catch the name of the man that was driving?
I did. By way of circumstance, yes.
Oh, great. Would you mind telling me who he is?
What is your business? You do not look like
I am not the wisest man, but I must ask why you need the name of a man you may not even know at all, who has just had an accident.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. Mate. I just want to make sure I didn't know him. Come on, mate. Just give me his name. I'm not asking for his. Do they have social security numbers in Australia? Yeah, I ain't asking for no private information about him. I just want to know the bloke's name.
you don't look like the local town guard.
Hold on a minute.
Nor do you.
He looks over at you and does a full.
Right. There you go.
Well, no, I guess I'm not from around here. What part of And he kind of looks around. What state is this? I mean, I know I'm in the States. Which actual state am I in?
I believe this one goes under the name Tennessee.
Right. Well, you don't look like a local Tennessean either. Tennesseeite? Yeah, Tennessean sounds better.
I introduced myself as Princess Euphoria of Rhinum. In my best regal pose as I do so.
Oh, well, a pleasure to meet you. He offers a hand to shake.
Mm-hmm. Does he introduce himself?
Folks, yeah, actually he does. He goes, folks call me Walkabout.
Oh, we're supposed to exchange our superhero names.
Wait a minute. By any chance, are you old?
No. I'm not. No, I haven't turned 30 yet.
I just get worried when people have indiscriminate names like that. Mostly because I'm, afraid of running into people like myself, who would be dangerous if there was a threat about.
Well, you're an older fella, but I wouldn't call you old.
What my friend's trying to ask is, are you a super villain?
Oh, no, nothing like that.
So you are a super hero?
I have helped some people out. I don't mind helping out. I don't go looking around for, people in tights to beat up or nothing.
Mm-hmm. And I take it you are here to help out as well?
Yeah. Usually back home I do search and rescue.
Where exactly if you don't mind me asking where exactly back home is? Obviously not the States, but...
Oh, no, I figured you'd picked up my accent. No. I'm an Aussie.
Muckboot turns to Snapchat. He has an accent? There's more than one?
Now he's looking at you funny. Where are you from, old fella?
Well, I would be from the area dictated as the South.
Oh, well, I'm from the territory how do you put it? Well, then I guess I'm from the territory they would call the North. Look at where Snapdragon's like Northern Territory. It's part of Australia.
Oh. Well, all of you are upwards to myself. But that's because we all have different perspectives.
So, oh right, we're talking north-south. Yeah.
I'm talking.
Well, we need to be talking about the deep down and the upper crust.
He goes, oh. I thought that Raynoon name sounded familiar.
Wait, hold on.
Oh, you're familiar with my land.
I wouldn't say familiar.
Okay.
I think my grandpa has mentioned it a couple of times.
Very good.
That's weird because the government people here were really acting like they'd never seen you before.
Oh, my grandpa's not in the government.
Anyway, the day.
Well, I say that he kind of does. He kind of leads the community, but not really in the government. No.
Anyway, the driver of this vehicle was called himself Trevor Tennant. Is this a person you know?
That I know of, yes.
What know you of him?
Businessman, a lot of import, export, and kind of stuff. His dad was a politician. From a ways back. Somebody back home attacked his father not too long ago.
Attacked in ritual combat?
No,
Or
just
attacked
in his
the
home.
shadows, like an assassination kind of.
It was more of an assassination, yeah.
Did that succeed?
So,
Like Boot turns towards Snapdragon. An assassination is a rude, secret murder.
if she's a politician, she's probably familiar with the term, with the concept of assassinations.
Yes, I know.
Right.
Muck Boot being Muck Boot will do a Muck Boot thing once or twice.
Yeah.
Of like, let's just make sure everything understood.
Anyway, I was trying to track down the fellow responsible, and Grandpa said he got a ping, if you will, that he was here. I wasn't exactly sure where here was, but I just followed the directions. And then when I arrive, I see this, and now you tell me it's another tenant. Is he dead?
He was close to it, but not in any danger of it immediately happening. No.
Oh, did you happen to see? And he proceeds to describe this older guy that might have been dressed odd. Might not have had any shoes. The ritual he uses to travel around, a lot of times, folks tend to be barefoot as they're doing it. Well, they tend to dress very traditionally, very old traditional style. So he might or might not have had shoes with him. Muck Boot, when you saw the people kind of dispersing from the crowd, you do remember seeing an older black gentleman, but his clothes didn't especially strike you as old-fashioned, and you didn't. You weren't really paying attention to his feet. Yeah, I know.
I saw a man that fits some of your description, but I believe there's going to be a difference between what you call old-fashioned clothes and what I call old-fashioned clothes. So,
how old are you, mate?
I'm old.
So you like you're saying he could be running around in bell bottoms and you wouldn't notice?
Hell's a bell bottom. They put bells on underwear? No, it's gotta be pants. It's gotta be some kind of pant. Is that anything like them Jinko jeans?
Yeah, I think they were usually jeans. Yeah, they kind of he proceeds to explain them bellowing out at the bottom. They were from the 70s. This is before my time.
I don't think he was wearing those.
So Miss Snapdragon, what's got you? Or no, you introduced me by your actual name, didn't you?
Yes, but then when he introduced himself as Walkabout, she would have been inclined to.
Yeah.
Snap.
Well, you introduced yourself as Princess so and so. So
Yes.
so what's got you running around on the surface, Princess?
Oh. I'm just here on a let's see, freelance diplomatic tour. I think is what the officials here called it. And my friend Mukboot here is a fellow adventurer, and we're just surveying the new this land. And you're here investigating, I guess these assassination attempts. Do you suspect that the son may have been targeted as well as the father?
It's possible. The fella I'm looking for, Manaro, he's got a bit of a grudge, which can't really blame him for going after the old man, truthfully, but Tennant never got into politics, any more than just being rich. Politicians will get you involved, I guess. But
what did they do to deserve such ire?
Manaro's a older fella, a bit older than he looks. Not ancient by any means, but.
Is this the aforementioned older black barefoot man?
Yes.
Gotcha.
The fellow walkabout things is responsible for this accident. I'm sure you don't know much about the Australian government. You said you've been exploring up here. You know how the government here in the States treated the natives?
Yeah, I have.
The reservations, all that kind of thing, taking all the land.
We'll turn towards that wagon. It was real bad and really violent, and kind of all our fault.
I'm starting to think you're really old, mate. But yeah, they did a lot of the same things in Australia to my people. But even as late as the aforementioned 70s, there was a program where they would sometimes take native children away from their parents, foster them to a more European descended family to, I guess, make them more Australian. Still kind of trying to stamp out, I guess, the older culture.
That does sound kind of like a British thing.
Yeah, winkers. Crap, I want to make sure I get this term right. Was it lost generation? Stolen generations, that's what they refer to it as. Well, Manaroo lost a child to one of the, it was the tail end of what we call the stolen generations, but and even when the government was trying to fix it later, there'd been a fire and the loss of some paperwork, and he did not have any luck finding his daughter for a decades. I mean, when he finally actually met her, she was, fully grown, children of her own, fully integrated, in his opinion, with the modern culture. Through all those years, he had gotten a little more, I hesitate to say extremist, because that makes me picture trucks blowing up and stuff, but given what he's doing currently, I guess that's the right word to use. But he'd gotten pretty anti-government, When he finally met up with her and she didn't...
She had grown to apathy.
Yeah, she had, I've met the young lady, but, well, like they're grown, but, I have met the lady. She's a perfectly nice lady, thinks the things the government did was messed up and all, but has no real interest in trying to connect to her past. The folks that took her in sounded like they were, the way she talked sounded like they were nice enough people. So she grew up feeling loved and all. So she doesn't have abandonment issues per se. But
She was assimilated.
yeah, but she didn't have a whole lot of interest. When he contacted her with evidence of her past, she was interested in meeting him. But she wasn't interested in really connecting with her culture. Or really, any more than just kind of casually meeting with him. He took it pretty hard. According to her, she completely flipped out when her husband got home. Met him too, nice bloke, but more of English descent. So apparently he had a problem with that. Anyway, he'd done a few little things like the tenant, the older tenant, and a few other guys. Basically, over the past year, it's been escalating from verbal attacks to kind of vague harassment till an actual attack. The older tenant was even in the tail ends of that program he was one of the people active in trying to keep it going. He thought it was a great idea, what have you. He was never really been a friend to the people that actually belong in Australia.
Really making it hard for me to care that man died. I admit.
But like I said, I ain't got a whole lot of sympathy for the elder.
Right. But anyway, back to this youngin.
But he gestures to the car though. But Trevor here, is his youngest son from second or third, with some trophy wife, I forget. But Mr. Tennant, the senior, was already up some age when he had Trevor here, so it was all not that the pain from this is gonna go on for a while, but the program and stuff was already shut down, and Mr. Trevor here was born in like the late '80s, I think. So he seems to be expanding his targets to people that didn't have anything to actually do with anything, and there's some rumblings that he may be. How much do you know about things of a less scientific bend?
I have fought spirits before, much to my dismay.
Yeah, it's never fun. Okay, my grandpa's kind of into that sort of thing. Not going out and picking fights with ghosts or nothing, but
Well, I didn't pick the fight picked me.
He's kind of in the traditional role of protecting the community from that sort of thing. It's more cultural than actually fighting things, but that's how he got a feeling that Manero would come here, and because Manero is a former student of Grandpa's, so or excuse me, they were students together. They were students together. So he feels, and they were friends when they were younger. He feels a little, I guess, probably more responsible than he should, but he feels he's got the best shot at being able to track him down. And since I'm the youngin' that can do the running around, I'm the one doing the running around.
Well, Muckboot, I know you may not have much sympathy for you may not seem to have much cause to interfere with this Manero, but I figure our new friend Walkabout, if anything, would have more cause to really than we would, and yet he still pursues. So perhaps at least I for one am willing to offer aid in your cause while you're here.
Miss Snapdragon, the story I'm being told here has me filled with more guilt than you can possibly imagine. I'm going to assist if at all possible.
Walkabout's kind of looking at me. Oh, yeah. Y'all want to help? I'd be more than happy to to accept some aid, because like I said, I can box with somebody, as well as the next guy, but as far as taking on some of these spirits and whatnot, it's not like I have a power that really lends itself to that.
Now, I'll go ahead and tell you right now, though. If we do any kind of fighting, and there's a leaf walker, I'm just leaving.
I'm not entirely certain what that is, sir.
Well, it's someone who can step on a leaf and then step out of another leaf.
Oh, that'd be useful, I guess. At least for covering long distances.
It's real annoying.
I imagine it would be fine.
They turn one tree, then turn another tree, and suddenly half your calf's gone. It's not fun.
Well, if y'all want to come with me, I'll go back. I was about to head back and check with Grandpa. I don't know.
The more you say these words, the more I feel like you walked here from Australia.
Despite the name, it's not all actual walking. Well, I mean, it is, but it's not like we're going to be walking, all the miles.
Do you step into a pocket dimension in which distances are smaller, take a few steps, and then step out of that pocket dimension to a new location relative in our dimension?
You get three slow blinks. The dreaming is actually bigger than our world, but a few steps carry you a lot more distance, at least the way I do them. It's easier to just show you than to explain it.
Mugboot will turn to Snapdragon. He's talking about pocket dimension travel. He just doesn't understand it's pocket dimension travel yet. Wait, I take that back. I should not say words like that. That is appropriating someone's heritage and displaying it in scientific numbers. That's rude of me. I've found that out. I apologize, sir, for what I've done.
No harm, mate. I don't know the mechanics of how it works. It's a different place, but the same place.
Half the people that design this shit that does it don't understand it. They just realize it works, so they keep doing it.
Right. Well, let's be off then. If you'll take my hand. And he holds a hand out to each of you.
Okay.
Well, kind of to the side, like you're going to walk with him. You may feel a slight kind of jerking sensation if we first get going. As you're holding his hands, he takes 2 quick steps forward, and you all kind of feel a pull. And then he's walking along. He's walking. To look at him, it's like he's walking just at a normal walking speed. But y'all are zipping up into the air, way up above the city, and kind of zipping across the sky. When you glance back down, you only, even as you're just starting to go up, the people and buildings are all kind of faded out. You're seeing the current city and the current buildings, but then you're also seeing the kind of wooded land that it must have been before the city. You see people in kind of Native American clothing, also kind of superimposed kind of over all this. There are things flying around in the sky that you're pretty sure never actually existed. And the sky is not blue. It's dark like a night sky, even though the stuff you look down on the ground, it still looks lit. It's all got kind of an unreal, dreamy kind of feel to it. And like I said, once it gets up a little distance, then y'all kind of streak off at high speed, and you can't make out a lot of detail of what's going on below you.
This must really. I imagine this is going to really freak out. Snapdragon is that she still is a little unused to the idea of like the concept of the open sky above me, and now we're in outer space, or seemingly in skirting outer space.
You have no trouble breathing though, and of course, if he drops you, you figure you've got wings. But
Yeah.
one last warning he gives you before you take off, though, is this takes a lot of concentration. So please no distractions. Under no circumstances laugh. I don't know what it would do if you laughed.
Okay.
So anyway, arcing across, and like I said, you're moving at speeds where everything's kind of a blur below you, but you can tell when you start passing over ocean.
That's out of character.
So it's probably a good thing Land Shark isn't getting to Australia this way.
Yeah, because that would not have ended well.
As you're traveling, you start to hear, it sounds like someone shouting into the wind. And there is a great sound of wind rushing past you. Though you only actually kind of feel a light breeze. The voice isn't speaking English, you don't know what it's saying. But you can tell as you're coming back in, you see land rapidly approaching you. But you can see him, you can kind of see where your trajectory changes. And you land on the beach. Land Shark, you're still trying to surf. There's regularly a small crowd around watching you. Most folks don't stay for too long. But there's a few dozen people at any time kind of over to one side or the other, just kind of talking to each other. They're watching. People have their cell phones out. But, you're a superhero. You're used to people recording you.
Right.
You've had a few people walk up and, try to offer you, some of them offer an actual advice on surfing, Well, if you're worried about the water, you could always,
If you want to surf, actually getting in the water might help.
Well, if you're afraid of water, if you try getting in the pool to begin with, just,
There's no sharks in the pool.
As you're, talking to one of these people, you start hearing a murmur around the beach. and somebody's kind of pointing out. And despite it being a very clear day, you got a few white puffy clouds around, but it's pretty much a clear, we're going to say it's early morning because you'd be going from Tennessee to Australia. I don't know what the time zone difference there is.
I guess it depends on where in Australia also.
It's 5:38 a.m. Where it's 2:38 p.m. here. So basically 3 hours off and then flip the AM PM. Well, that makes it about 10 a.m. If y'all were in the afternoon in Tennessee, then it's early morning, or I say relatively early morning. So you got out and got to try to get an early start. But clear, beautiful morning, and you start seeing a water spout form out a little ways off the coast, off the beach. And usually that's part of storms in places that have them. The people on the beach are starting to kind of pull back. You see a lot of people starting to head for their car. A few people just back up to off the beach itself, but are sitting there recording or on their phones. And as Landshark is watching, the spout kind of gets up to essentially like the full height and starts moving towards the beach.
Shark balls. His eyes will get really, really big.
You what now?
So shark balls. His eyes will get really, really big. I'm sure he'd be terrified of that.
The water is tired of you not coming to it. It's coming to you.
It's coming to you, right? He'll back off. He's not going to run from the beach. He'll just, get further away from the water.
As the water approaches the beach, you can see forms in the water. You don't quite make out what they are before they start getting flung out.
So I'll get ready to throw my surfboard.
So you even thought to take it with you. The water spout seems to be spitting sharks.
Oh my god.
They're landing close to people. People are freaking out. They're flopping around.
Well, assuming my fear doesn't overtake me, the sharks would definitely have his interest. He'll try to, and I'm not sure what his priority would be. A, he wants to protect people from the sharks, and B, would want to get the sharks back into the water. He's not going to get in the water with them, but he'd throw them back out into the surf.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're cool.
You hear one of the guys closest to you when that starts happening. You've got to be kidding me.
He's like, what?
So far, none of the sharks have actually hit anybody. You don't see where anybody's been bitten. But it's adding to the general freak out going on.
I will, if there's any stragglers that are sticking around, I'm going to try and yell at them to, run. And back off while I'm dealing with the sharks. I'm assuming they don't need my help, getting out of here.
No. Most of them start listening to you. Some people just run into the nearest building. Now, described as looking like a water spout, which is, of course, like a tornado that gets over the water.
Right.
But there's not a whole lot of wind. You could feel some wind coming off of it where whatever it is clearly rotating. But, But it's not like there's a storm going on. There's not high winds causing this.
You know, water manifesting itself like that would seriously freak him out.
But it continues up on the beach. It starts cutting to one side. You're still flinging sharks and the occasional octopus everywhere.
I'm going to see if I can, use the sand to maybe make a wall to deflect it and break up the water spout. That's, because obviously even land shark can tell that's not right.
Okay, so you're going to use your ground control?
Yes.
All right. Go ahead and give me a roll for that. Versus the strength of the water spout, I suppose, or the strength of the power being used. So 12 is the number to beat. Because the dice roller likes me today.
Wow.
So you throw up a wall of sand, and the water spout hits it, busts the wall, sand gets sucked up in it. The bottom half or so of it starts becoming kind of a muddy, well, I mean, it's sand. Kind of becomes a soggy pillar of sand that kind of starts falling apart as the upper half of the water spout like separates from it and drops down. So you've got a smaller water spout now. But it's still a good 50 feet tall. And seems to be beelining for one of the parking lots next to the beach. In fact, cars are pulling out of the parking lot. It's traveling towards the lot, and then suddenly it starts cutting, still moving like towards the lot or towards the road up off the beach, but it starts cutting to one side more.
It's like, water trumps earth. It can tear down mountains. Where have I heard that before? I'll chase after the water spout.
As you round the corner of the building you were close to, you're running after it. You see where everybody's loading in their cars trying to leave at the same time, so there's kind of a traffic jam.
I should specify that as I'm running after the water spout, I'm also trying to make sure it can't see me, even though it probably doesn't see.
So you're like running from tree to tree, ducking behind parked vehicles.
Building to building, whatever. But yeah, this is definitely something that would terrify him. So how far from the beach are we? Are we at Earth now, or are we still at sand?
You've gotten up to Earth. The parts that aren't paved are more solid dirt now. And it seems to be moving towards that little traffic jam.
I hate to keep repeating myself, but I'm gonna throw up another wall to try to block it from the traffic jam.
Okay. Give me another roll. 9 is the number to beat.
Maybe I will roll a little better this time.
Hey, you rolled a little better.
Not much better, but a little.
The wall of earth you put up, earth and stone that comes up, just a little more solid than the sand. Apparently, it's taking the water a little bit better. The spout kind of comes. It leans forward, almost like something's going to tip and fall over. You stop it, and then the top kind of turns. That's a little bit higher than the wall, and it's like it starts to elongate out. It's not like it's not like the tornado-like pillar now. Now it's kind of like it's like the top is coming down. People are scrambling out of the cars, and you see it land circling around one particular vehicle. Where before you couldn't like see inside the spout, you know, you could just see the water. Having stretched itself out so much, you can kind of see. It's like you're looking through just a little bit of water, or like imagine like water running down a windshield. And you kind of that you can still kind of see through.
Right.
You see somebody get out of that car, look around in a panic, and then there's another figure next to him that grabs him.
So, the figure has grabbed the guy. They are obviously very, very close together.
They are.
Does it look like the guy that they grabbed? Do I get the impression he was under a bubble of water, not actually in a bubble of solid water? Like, was he drowning?
The impression you get is that the water is circling them.
Right.
That the water spout was hollow in the center. But, you know, it was pretty thick on the outsides until it elongated like that to actually reach him.
Take a deep breath, pull out a nebulizer, take a puff on that, and I wonder if he's brave enough to do that. Let's see.
Yeah, he could be telling his heart, look, you know, looking at how thin the water is. It's not any worse than a shower. It's not any worse than a shower. I'll be touching the ground.
Shower. He will try to do a quick burrow to get under the water and into where they're at, into the bubble.
Okay.
Like go under the wall of water, not.
All right, give me a. Did we do intellect last time you were trying to move underground to get under a building?
I don't remember, but that sounds.
Though in this case, you could go down and kind of peek up as you got closer until you were pretty certain you got it. But
yeah.
Go ahead and give me an intellect roll. I'm only going to give it a +2 to the difficulty, so 5 is the number to beat.
Aww.
So here's what happens. You were this close to making it. Your head crests the surface, and you were right in that little wall of water.
Leave that up to you if that triggers an earthquake or not.
So, yeah, you start to freak out. And it wouldn't have been so bad, but you kind of open your mouth. The land shark opens his mouth, which of course just lets water rush in, which just panics him more. Because now, despite the fact that shoulders down is still in the earth and he's perfectly capable of just ducking back down or moving, he thinks he's drowning now.
And in particularly, he is, especially afraid of being drowned. So that's more than fair.
Let's see here. And this is the time that the rest of y'all arrive. And don't worry, Zach, I'm going to get you, I promise. I didn't have this.
Oh, you are absolutely fine.
I was not thinking about how long it was going to take me to get all y'all together. That one of you'd be sitting here like this. But... Oh! Mike just pointed out in the Roll20 chat, yeah, this is basically triggering a trouble for yourself. So Land Shark, give yourself a determination point.
Well, but the earthquake is uncontrollable. I mean, that could be triggered. It's trouble for me, but it also I got a point for it by making it uncontrollable. So
that's
you
fair.
Can do that at
that's
any
fair.
time without giving me determination.
That's right. That's right. In this case, I'm going to say go ahead and take it, though, because Land Shark intentionally... This is more the trouble for the fear of water. that you're role playing, because he intentionally did something that he knew had the chance of putting him in water.
Okay.
But anyway, Walkabout, Snapdragon, and Muckboot, you arrive on a beach. There's a little puff of sand as you land. You know, it's like you had jumped down 3 or 4 feet and kind of landed. You know, despite the enormous speed that you seem to be traveling at, you know, it's a gentle landing. People are screaming. People are running off the beach. There are sharks flopping around. You see this bent over water spout thing, and then the ground starts to shake. The buildings start to tremble. Which is, of course, panicking people more. You hear honking cars from a well, what you assume is going to be a traffic jam, but there's this big wall of dirt and stone that cuts off your sight that this water spout has stopped in front of, and now it's like a tunnel of water now leaning over the thing. Arced almost like a rainbow kind of thing. Or a slinky.
Should probably head for the water spout. I'd like to do something about these sharks, but I don't really have any ability to get them back in the water.
Just not strong enough to pick up a great white and carry it.
Yeah, exactly.
I could cut it into smaller pieces, but that defeats the purpose.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't bring Everlast with me.
Ironically, I was listening to the Ballad of Sharknado before we started playing, just to, put myself in the mood.
So, all right. So that's what y'all see. Snapdragon is moving towards the water spout.
Sure.
Okay.
Flying, I should say.
Oh, okay. Well, as soon as you get a little bit of a height on you, you're above the wall, and you can see, there's a traffic jam. You can see where the tunnel has hit. You know, this water tunnel spout thing has hit the ground, and it's circling one vehicle. You can see 2 figures kind of wrestling inside. And as you get closer, you see somebody is buried in the ground, and the water is passing right over them, and they're shaking.
Okay. That person looks like they need help. Would I be able to tell whether that is the epicenter of the earth shaking?
The vehicles around close by seem to be shaking more than the ones that were still in the parking lot.
Okay.
The shaking is slowly getting worse and worse. But yeah. If not epicenter, you at least think you're traveling closer to the source.
Okay. Well, I think it's safety. I think it's reasonable to assume that the person flying about is distressed. So I'll fly towards that figure. No, wait. We've met. Yeah. Landshark.
Yeah.
We've met before, right? Okay. Well,
Once you get up on him, you can tell who it is because he's still wearing his fin, and the water's got it knocked off to one side.
Right. Well, I'll just zoom in and try to pull him out.
Okay. Is Landshark gonna? Somebody has run up and is like grabbing you, but right under the shoulders and trying to pull you out of the water. Are you resisting at all?
If he's in panic mode, I think he would.
Okay.
He'd be like, "Don't touch me."
Except it comes out as.
Right.
So you go to grab him. As soon as you start pulling on him, he starts thrashing about. In his thrashing, though, his face still comes back out of the water, so now the water is passing through his chest. And he kind of spits water out and is screaming, "Don't touch me."
I'll okay. See, recognizing Landshark and seeing that he's distressed. I know I believe he says. I think he said before that he's not crazy about this effect, but I'd like to see if I can exude some of my pheromone to. And again, I always forget how how mechanically you're handling this.
I would call this putting a condition on him. Calm.
Yeah. Yeah. Can I directly just
Now, what is the actual power called?
Well, it's emotion control, and I labeled it as love, but it's not really love. That was just the closest thing in the rules. Basically, it's almost like kind of a combination of respect and authority. You know, where
Presence. It's just a general sort of presence. You listen to this person, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. I think
Okay.
the general emotion is you can trust me. Now, it's not really an emotion per se, but that's the closest thing, because I didn't want to I didn't want this to be like a brainwash.
It's not full mind control. You just have a field of trusting.
Yeah, it's a fine line. It's that.
Okay, so it's emotion control versus awareness. Okay.
Yeah. Basically.
Let's see. Marginal has no effect, but you can try again with determined effort. All right, so Land Shark needs to roll awareness. Oh, wait, hang on. Let me make sure I'm reading this right. All right, so you place the quality on the target, concentrate on making a new emotional control versus awareness test. At the start, and at the start of each page that you are maintaining it. So yes, Land Shark needs to give him an awareness test.
Sure, now I roll high.
Marginal success has no effect, but you can try again without determined effort. If you had just failed, you'd have to spend a point to try again. With a marginal, you can try again free. While this is going on, Walkabout is running in the direction Snapdragon went.
She has to smack him out of it.
It's me! Huh? What? Oh. Muckboot, what are you doing?
Well, I guess I'll follow Walkabout. I don't know where I am, and he's my only way back, so I'm gonna keep a tight lock on him.
Well, you can be pretty sure that you're,
Oh, I mean, like I could definitely contact my spaceship, but that's an emergency only vehicle.
And you'd be pretty sure you're in Australia. I mean, the way the dude was talking, but. Alright, so you're following behind. So y'all run up. You manage to get around this big stone wall. You run past a couple of cars. Over the cars you can see Snapdragon's doing something on the ground. And then when you get to a clear space, you recognize who this is that she's dealing with. As he's soaking wet, like I said, his fins knocked to one side. He's screaming, "Don't touch me!" And water is just washing over him. And you see two figures kind of inside the water circling this vehicle. And one of them seems to have thrown the other one over his shoulder.
Great. Does the person match the description that I've been given?
It's hard to tell looking through a moving sheet of water. You're seeing more outlines than anything. You're pretty sure the unconscious guy over the shoulder, because he's wearing trunks, so you can see a lot of skin's bare. You can tell it's a white guy. You're pretty sure the one holding him is not.
Well, alright then. Time for the good old-fashioned binding shot. I'm going to go ahead and use my Grand Hunter's Rifle's extra effect, which is binding. Well, one of the effects, which is binding. And take a shot in the water at the man who has another man on his shoulder.
The man with the man.
Man with a man.
Alright, so I'm going to give his coordination. I'm going to give him a +2 for you firing through the water. Because it's moving, so it could potentially... I don't think it's going to matter. You're such a crack shot, but... Alright, so the number to beat is 12. Alright.
With my gun shooting, but not lethally.
But like not lethally.
But like not lethally. It's gun shooting, but it's not lethal.
So you're looking at that water, and you're like, it's not very... Doesn't look like much water. So you just kind of treat it like a high wind and kind of knock over to the side a little bit. But it's all almost instantaneous, just real quick in your head.
100 years of muscle memory will do that to you.
Yep. And sure enough, you hit the guy dead on. Now, is it like wrapping him up in is it like a bolo shot, or is it like foam, expanding foam that catches them, or what is the nature of the binding?
It's always Bola-esque.
Okay.
I do have to look up the description of binding to make that I am using it correctly. But
yeah, so you beat him by 2, so I believe that puts him in a full hold. No, it's a moderate success, so it's a partial hold. Partial hold means he can't go anywhere, and he has that -2 to anything he tries to do. Yeah, can't move from the spot, but he's at a -2 to do things other than break out. But yeah, that hits him. Kind of drops his arms to the side. The guy he was holding falls down, kind of out of view because it's like the guy's car and they're on the other side. And you hear such a string of even through the water, you hear such a string of profanity. Some of these words you hadn't even picked up yet. Or maybe they're Australian, you're not sure. But
that's fair.
But he seems to be questioning, whether or not your parents were married and whether or not your mother may have been some sort of mongrel.
Such language.
Yeah. I wish I had a soundboard set up so I could just hit beeps every time he starts talking. It's really something I need to invest in. But he appears to be bound. So he's kind of wiggling around in it, or whatever. Let's see. The water spout. The water seems to be thickening. I described it as being like a tunnel or like a slinky. It's like the bottom half is now raising up, and now it's the top half, and the water spout is just completely surrounding the car. You just barely make out some shadowy movement inside at this point. From Landshark's point of view, where he leaned back a little bit when he started flailing around, and it was the little barrier of water was passing over his chest. It's starting to expand now. The earthquake shaking is getting worse. One of the little little touristy buildings, probably just a spot where you change clothes, change in or out of bathing suits or whatever. One wall gives out on it, and it actually kind of falls over. Car alarms are going off everywhere. While he's freaking out, is Land Shark going to try to at least move out of the water at this point?
I'm gonna see if I can shield myself with a small bubble of earth.
Okay.
See if I can make a solid little wall of earth come over me.
Okay. Just like a dome.
Yeah, this will.
Yep. You get a hold of some stone, and the stone actually kind of forms up around you. Now, is it a dome where you're completely sealed in, or is like the backside open further back away from the water?
Leave the backside open.
Okay. Now I'm picturing it like a little
Well,
stone
no,
igloo.
I mean, if he's panicked, he'll just make himself a little cocoon.
Alright, so now he's laying there gasping. He's wet. Water is now run down to your feet where, your feet were still kind of underground. But you're not in the water, you're just wet. And you can hear the sound of it of the water rushing over the stone, so you know it's just right there, just past the stone you put up.
This is right there coming after me, trying to get in.
And you know it'll get there eventually. You heard water is patient. Patient and evil. But,
To him, it is.
But, and then the water spout starts moving back, it's moving back towards the ocean, kind of moving around the wall. So what are the other two of you doing?
I was planning to continue to follow the man who has been bowled now,
Okay.
to the best of my abilities.
And does Landshark Shark seem to be more or less safe relatively at this point?
He covered himself up in dirt. You know he can burrow into the ground, so probably.
Well, it seems, but he's not like actively drenched at this point. He's not like drowning in water at this point.
No, he shouldn't be.
Yeah. Well, I guess Snapdragon will figure that he could take care of himself at least until he catches his breath and gets back in the fight. So we've got a bowled up person who is presumably responsible for the water spout. Is the captain still elevated up towards the top of the water spout?
Well, they were on the ground wrestling, and then he threw the guy over his shoulder, then he got boloed, and then all the rest of the water slammed back down. Well, you can't see through it as well as you were, and now that's moving back towards the...
Oh, so it's like a bubble of water on the ground moving towards the...
It still looks like a water spout, but where it had been kind of stretched out to reach over the wall, it did like a slinky, so now you can't really see.
It would be funny if it kept moving like a slinky into commercials where it would go down the stairs.
I'll follow that then and see if I could get a good visual of what's going on inside.
It would probably occur to Snapdragon that it appeared to be hollow. She might be able to fly above it and look down.
Yeah.
If you do that, it's empty.
Oh, so it's almost like does it seem like it was a decoy?
Well, you saw people in it earlier, but now as it's moving away and you go up and you look, there's nobody like standing in the center of it anymore.
That's curious. And not embedded within the actual walls of the water spout.
Not that you can tell, no.
Okay. I'll get back to Mapu, and I'll assume we do not have like handy dandy communicators, and let him know that I don't see them inside the water spout, the water shell.
And it moves back out in the ocean, and when it reaches the ocean, it kind of dissipates. Turning back around, when you did that, you notice all the sharks, all the sea life that was getting thrown around is gone.
Huh.
That's interesting.
Muckboot, what do you do?
Is there a person?
Oh, that's right. You were. So when the spout moves, you're going to run up and see if the boloed person is. You don't see him, but you're going to run up and make sure he didn't just fall down by the car.
Yes.
Okay. You run up there, and the empty bolo is just laying there. It's not broken. It's not torn. You know, the two pieces clearly went around and tangled up. It's just the empty ring of material laying there. You know, soaking wet.
Just what I wanted to do today is mess with the fucking Fae.
Walkabout followed you. Was like, huh. And he immediately climbs into the car and goes through its glove box. Pulls out some wet paperwork. Dang it, it's another tenant. You know, I mentioned to you that Trevor was, was his son, but was, the old man had been kind of, old when he had him. Trevor was his youngest. The guy that got snatched here is actually a grandson of one of the older children. Though I wonder why they took him instead of just, let's see. Lost my train of thought. Okay, land shark. Give me a willpower roll to see if we can calm you down, or see if you can calm yourself down now that you're safely cocooned in Earth. And at this point, you're no longer hearing the water rush across the top.
Of course.
Oh, to the bell.
All right, so everybody, let's see, both of you are aware that it is land shark that has covered himself up. The earthquake is getting worse. What do the two of you do? And you're aware of land shark's thing.
I'll fly back.
Guess it's time to shoot the dirt.
Are you gonna try to blow that covering off of him?
I did
Yeah,
mention
obviously
that
at like a corner piece and not the center.
Yeah.
if Snapdragon had neglected to do so before, she tells what this is in fact land shark.
Okay. Let's see. And what is your Earth control at?
9.
Is it powerful?
Let's see. It's a 9. In the material, so that lets you control it, but that wouldn't necessarily make the stone.
Yeah, I don't think
any
that changes the strength of it.
Yeah, okay.
Of the material, I mean.
So benchmarks. What is stone? All right, stone is a 6. But we're gonna call it concrete because it's like smaller stones that he's pieced together. So it's got a material strength of a 5. So it'll be 5. DC plus 5 will be the difficulty that you have to overcome. with your shooting.
I'll angle up near the top of the dome, kind of just crack a hole to let sunlight in, and words.
Oh, the words. And how much damage does your rifle do?
6.
Hey, words can hurt.
Okay, that's fine. Alright, so give me a roll on that.
I have performed my gun shooting, like, on rocks for some reason, out of 13.
Alright, you had to beat an 11, so you did so. So you blow a good sized hole in it. Not enough that you could crawl into it or anything, but plenty for you to, like, look through and... Boy, snap out of it!
Hey, land shark, the water's done. You can come out now.
No, I can't.
Aw.
You can literally see the sunlight behind me. We're good.
Willpower versus willpower as you're trying to put the calm condition on him.
Or he's gonna roll a 6. Hey, it's a tie. Ties go to the aggressor. I have a gun. Henceforth, I am the aggressor.
You will calm down.
In combat, a marginal, which is a tie, tends to be like half damage. In other situations, it might be a success or it might not. In this case, you've calmed him down enough that the earthquake subsides. But it takes several more minutes of talking to him before he'll finally come out of the.
Yeah.
I can just imagine. There's no water out here. Yes, there is. I'm literally speaking to you, and I cannot speak or breathe in water.
You're 70% water.
Ever so gradually, Landshark expand. I'm picturing him expanding the hole and kind of peeking out to make sure there's no water out there waiting on him.
Oh, yeah, he's absolutely going to peek before he comes out.
But
Prairie dog in your dirt hole and get on out here.
like I said, quick investigation of the area. All the sea life is gone. There are actually, everybody give me awareness rolls. Man, my dice roller likes me tonight. Or this afternoon. Muckboot, you notice there's no shark-shaped imprints in the sand.
Ghost sharks.
It's a ghost sharknado.
Sharks.
I was warned there'd be ghosts of sharks, but we never listened. Well, that's more weird mystical phase I don't want to deal with today. Guess we're gonna have to deal with it today.
Walkabout looks at you. What is it you're saying?
How much damage has this battle
Wait,
caused?
what do you mean? What do you mean? What am I saying?
What are you saying there? What was that last word? Or not the last word, but I'm just making sure I hear you right. You got a weird accent.
I don't
It's something. It's something. Shit. What?
Fae, F-A-E.
Oh, an F. Okay. I didn't know what you were saying. Sorry.
What did you think I was saying?
Nothing. I don't know what a fae is.
Oh, that's the mystical and or magical beings which are obviously weird stuff. Hold on, let me they just have creatures with weird rules. Usually you can't see them because they live in their own little place, but sometimes they come to Earth to
So
cause
like
havoc,
spirits.
mayhem. Yeah, they're.
I don't mean ghost type spirits, but spirits.
I suppose most of them have physical bodies.
Oh.
Like, Technically, a unicorn's a fae.
Oh, it's like fairies and elves and stuff. Okay.
Pretty much,
Yeah.
right?
Well, fae. Fairies and fae are roughly the same thing. Just fae is an all-encompassing term for those kinds of
Oh,
creatures.
okay, yeah.
And people. Some of them are people. Most of them are people. I respect them. He says while looking around.
Walk about like I focus on the local stuff, so I and then he kind of stops and goes, But if the animals weren't real, he kind of looks over at Land Shark, who's soaked. The water was clearly real.
It's okay, Land Shark. It's back in the ocean. It can't hurt you anymore.
How bad did we tear up the area?
Actually, I take that back. Mugboot will also wipe some of the water off of Land Shark's fin and taste it. Is
It's
it
salty.
salt water?
It's salty.
Okay, yep. It's just ocean water. It wasn't somebody making water. They were just using the ocean water. Pfft.
That's also Land Shark when you realize your fin is crooked. As far as how much damage, all the windows in all the buildings in sight are shattered. Like I said, one of the little shacks has fallen down. You've this isn't your record, but you've definitely done some damage.
Oh man, I screwed up again.
Oh, let's see. Let's see. Okay, Australia does get some earthquakes. I'm trying to see what part. Oh well, it's not that important. Oh, there's a nice convenient map. So they don't get a ton of earthquakes where y'all are at. So yeah, some of the buildings, they're evacuating some of the buildings because they're not sure how much longer they're going to stand. Walkabout just looks at you. You do that every time you freak out?
Mode?
Jeez.
That's a problem.
Well, I ain't got no record where I got to worry about the law showing up. But if we talk to them, we're gonna be talking to them all day. And I think we need to go talk to my grandpa. Is this big guy somebody we want to take with us? He looks at Snapdragon.
Hey. Land Shark, would you like to come with us on an adventure again?
Oh yeah, especially if the authorities are on their way.
That's fair. You probably don't want to get kicked out of the entirety of Australia. Alright, come on then.
I've only been here 2 days.
I had to answer all these questions like, did I have a criminal record? Alright, everybody, Walkabout goes, everybody take hands. There's that slight jerking as he takes a few steps forward, and then y'all are zipping ahead. Much to Land Shark's relief, the ocean seems to be falling back behind you, though. As you're essentially zipping, from the ocean up towards kind of the northern part of the continent. Now we're going to let a little time pass, jump over to Zach, who's been far more than patient.
I've been having a great time just listening.
But I did not have this. I knew the events. I wasn't thinking about how long some of them would take. But anyway, so you're at your shop. Everlast is in the back. Or you've sent her off on an errand. She's got to go fetch something.
You eat the last cookie, you replace the pack. We've been over this.
Look, when I was raised, I just had all the cookies I wanted.
No talking back, dear. No talking back. I love you. I would burn an entire city for you. But the rules are the rules. Get me my goddamn snickerdoodles.
This is what happens when you're no longer the sole champion in training of a mystical cult.
Well, you're still the sole champion of said cult. You're just also the sole member. I am a cult of one.
Which, honestly, the safest kind of cult.
Yep.
Well,
I love me. I'll do anything for me.
Well, I'm off on my snickerdoodle quest.
So Wolf Witch is sitting there. You know, you've had a couple customers come in. Suddenly there's a vibration in the air. Not a physical one. You feel like the wards of the shop have just been possibly probed, touched. Like, it's not really a physical vibration, but imagine if you were in your house or your apartment, you put your hand up against one of the interior walls, and then somebody accidentally walked into the wall on the other side. It kind of feels like that.
Am I going to have to beat the shit out of someone today?
And then it happens again.
Yep.
And then it happens again. And then out the front window of the store, you see somebody just appear. And he looks mildly annoyed as he's looking at your shop. And then he spots you inside and he kind of waves and heads for the door.
I look mildly annoyed back at him.
Well, he doesn't look annoyed at you when he looks at you. And then he opens the door, the little bell dings. Good day. Would you be,
Oh, one second.
Oh, no problem. I think I heard an unhappy baby.
Yeah, that was good timing on the baby's part to
She's
act up
been
as
so
soon as Zach-
patient.
Yeah, and as soon as Zach's in the spotlight. Just
Well, if there's one thing I can say about babies, they are spotlight stealers.
Mm-hmm.
As they should be.
Would we, the viewers of the story, recognize this figure that popped into the bookstore?
Oh, yeah, it's walkabout.
But we're not there?
But you are not there.
Interesting. These triplets.
Does anybody happen to remember Wolf Witch's real name?
Probably roll it down
I know he
somewhere.
has said what it is, but...
And I thought it was Mary, but then I think he corrected me last time, and I don't remember what it actually was, so I shouldn't have said anything because I'm wrong.
Witches, I've got that much.
That's okay. I had an NPC in my vampire game kidnapped and was calling him by the wrong name.
Alright, I return, and her name...
Well, what was that? You cut off. You were like her name, and then it cut off.
Wendy.
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 That's right. Wasn't Wendy the witch one of Casper's friends?
That's right.
Yes.
You have seen my reference.
Dun, dun, dun.
Well done, Zach. It took me this long to catch on. You've been gaming a year, and it finally clicked with me.
That's how the best Easter eggs work.
That's true. That is how the best Easter eggs work. But this fellow walks in. Good day, ma'am. Are you Wendy? Whatever your last name is.
Try chick.
Try chick.
Close enough.
Shit. My grandpa has sent me to ask for your assistance.
I have a phone. It's my store's number is listed.
He couldn't remember the store's name or your last name. And
So
you know,
tried
Wendy's
to
who own
punch
occult
through
bookstores.
the wards around my place of business and my home.
Is that what those were?
Yes.
I'm glad you weren't in a skyrise. I could have crashed.
Oh, that would have been a pity.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I'm sorry. A business being a public... I wouldn't have popped into your home like that. A business being a public place, I didn't think nothing of it. From now on, I'll arrive at the street and come through the door like a normal person. You know, if I'm ever
such great
in this...
consideration on your part. Who is your grandfather, and why is he attempting to consult my aid?
Let me see if I can pronounce this right. He doesn't say that. That's me. Jandamarra. Jandamarra. Given this fellow's Australian accent, and that is clearly an Aboriginal name, well, it's a name Wolfwitch sort of recognizes anyway. So how old was Wendy again?
She's about 230.
Okay. Has she done some globetrotting?
A fair bit.
Okay.
Occasional basketball game. Sorry.
My grandpa says that you had met with his grandpa some years back. And let me just say, you don't look nearly that old.
Thank you. I put a lot of effort into my appearance and youth.
I got an old codger helping me that he's a lot older than he looks, but he looks fairly old. Anyway, and he gives you his grandfather's name. I'm not going to butcher another Australian name, but that you recognize as someone you dealt with briefly when you traveled through Australia. Local, I forget, I don't know if they have a special term, medicine man, kind of, you know, spiritual protector of his people sort. Not in a superhero sense, but in the way all your old cultures tended to have before they organized into more what we traditionally think of as priesthood type things. And it was somebody that you wound up owing a favor. I mean, fellow's probably long dead now, but still a favor's a favor. Or at least this guy's family seems to think so.
Alright, fair's fair. Are you at liberty to give me the details about what your grandfather needs assistance with?
A friend of his, a fellow pupil, I guess you'd say, of the man that trained my grandpa. He's gone rogue. He's attacking a family. The patriarch of this family deserves it enough that Gramps wouldn't have gotten involved if it was just him. But now he's attacking the man's children and grandchildren. We think he's gotten one of the old ancestor spirits involved. I guess you Europeans would probably call it a god.
Ah.
Yeah.
All right.
And you were Gramps can do some stuff, but our style of magic isn't, fireballs and, turning into monsters to bite people kind of stuff. But he seemed to recall from talking to his Gramps that that was kind of more your thing.
I do have certain skills in the more aggressive magics.
Aggressive, we could probably use some aggressive. I mean, I don't know if you need to close your shop or.
No, let me get my things. Seth, dear, I need to step out for a while.
And then you remember Everlast was the only person working today.
Oh, crap. Alright,
Yeah.
closing up shop. I'll just write out a quick note for Everlast saying,
Open
"Have to
back
step
up when she
out,
gets
someone,
here.
Yep, someone needs their teeth kicked in. BRB.
See what happens when you don't replace the cookies. You miss out on adventures.
Lesson learned.
So you leave the note and you flip the sign and lock the store. Walkabout goes, if you would, ma'am, you just take my hand and I can get us where we're going.
Take his hand.
He takes a couple of quick steps with you, follow behind him. There's a jerking sensation, and y'all are arcing through the sky. When you were in Australia, you never had the opportunity to travel like this, but this was how some of their practitioners traveled from one tribe to another. Walking through the sky, you knew it could be dangerous if something really broke their concentration. If something caused them to laugh, they could simply fall. And despite Walkabout coming off as a talkative sort, he seems to be very quiet and very focused while this is going on.
I let the man do his thing because I don't want to die.
You've also, the speed he's traveling at strikes you as remarkable. Because even the folks I won't say trained under, because it was more of a just meet up exchange of information as you were kind of scoping out other traditions, and realizing that dealing with the dreaming is really probably not your thing. It's a lot of talking to your ancestors, and you didn't have any ancestors in Australia, and so the old spirits there really didn't have no interest in talking to you. But even doing that and the way they would travel, it would still take hours to get from one tribe to somewhere else on the continent. And you quickly blow out of the U.S. and are passing over the ocean. That huge empty stretch, kind of between South America and Australia. That if an ocean can have a desert, that's kind of what this area is. There's life there, but not the teeming amounts that there are in the rest of the ocean. But and you see the weird stuff I described before. The kind of overlays of the past and the present. Creatures that no longer exist in the flesh, that are still here in the spirit, or that were native to the dream time. Mildly psychedelic in some ways. And then you arrive with a little kind of puff of dust as you land on the ground. It's a little startling how fast you are approaching the ground, but the landing is not harsh in any way.
Well, I must say the expediency of this mode of travel is quite refreshing, if a little bit terrifying.
Ma'am, it does take you a little while to get used to it. Gramps prefers to carry himself, even though it's slower. And you arrive looking over a small Australian city. Well, you assume Australian because that's where, he tells you, "Welcome to Alice Springs." And it's uploading into Discord, but there'll be a picture. And I've got it put up where the
Isn't
viewers
that where
can
the
see.
opal mine is?
I don't know for sure about that. I was literally looking at a map of Australia with the population centers, and it's like, there's this one little dot in about the middle of Australia that's got a higher population than everything around it. And it's like
It may just be close. It may just be close to Ayers Rock. That may not be the.
But it's a small town of like 12,000 or so. But it is by far the biggest bit of civilization anywhere in the area. Lots of people that want to go exploring tourists that want to go exploring the outback, they set up here because you step outside the city limits and there you are. As you arrive,
Cooper Petey, sorry.
as you arrive, there's other folks around. I'm trying to think. Have any of this group met Wolf Witch?
I don't believe I haven't met her.
Not in
game.
Not in any storyline you've given.
Okay, that's right. It was the Misfits and the Haunted that kind of crossed.
There was the off chance that Landshark had dinner with Wolf Witch and Jay at some point because she had sort of offered an olive branch out to Jay, but I don't know that actually happened yet.
I don't know. I hate to do
Probably
it.
not yet.
I hate to do it this close to quitting time, but I need to step away for just 1 minute.
You're
All
fine.
right.
Y'all can go ahead and do, the role play introductions if you want to now.
All right. I do need to do some quick math.
What's that?
Wolf Witch is how old?
Oh,
230,
Oh,
give or
okay.
take a couple years.
That's always give or take. Where were you in the late 1700s?
Late 1700s?
About the time of the American Revolution.
Yeah, not alive just yet. Wait, I said 230. Okay, so yeah,
So,
probably.
230, you'd been born, but
I think she'd probably just been like a year or two old.
yeah. So
You might have bumped into her parents if you were in the Boston area.
were your parents magic?
Yes, she comes from a line of
Okay, so
Germanic witches.
So they'd be known as magicians in Boston.
Yeah.
Then yeah, historically, because with Muckboot's origin, he's only picked the South, quote unquote, just because it had the best wilderness left for him to just tuck away in.
Can confirm.
But his time frame was, was where it was more northeast was where everybody was. So he probably, especially with magicians, probably at least heard the last name before. I was just curious with the whole introductions and everything.
Landshark would be like, Jay said to pet your wolf cloak, but that sounds kind of weird.
That sounds like something that his grandmother would suggest. You're Landshark, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
It's a pleasure to meet you. Your friend is a remarkable young man. Though I feel like, without a question, his grandmother is holding him back. If he could somehow shirk that spirit, I genuinely believe that he could become one of the most powerful and terrifying magic users of his or any generation of the last 500 years.
He's impressive.
And you could do so much better. And you are... She gestures at Muckboot.
My name's Muckboot. I'm from the south. Reach the hand out, shake.
Takes it. Wendy Trishik. You can call me Wolf Witch.
Muckboot takes a deep breath. You 200, 250.
Thereabouts. You're playing a very dangerous game, sir.
Why? Till you've hit 600, no witch is really old.
That's fair. That's fair.
Also,
But yes, why do you ask?
I'll just sorry, I guess that does come off as rude. I've never really thought about it. I'm used to bigger numbers when I'm talking to folk. It's always nice to see a kid again.
I do love your I do love your manners. So many in this time have lost such simple things.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I'm absolutely terrified of witch magic. It's a thing I've never understood and will never understand. But I deeply respect the ability to murder.
Yes, murder is a fine art whenever you need to use it.
And if I recall correctly, that family is one of the original non-Native American witches.
Why, you'd be correct. Good sir. How old are you, if I might ask?
Well, kind of bends in. Oh, roughly about the time of what you would call the French and Indian War, and then leans back out. About thereabout.
Fascinating. So, perchance technological, supernatural. What has kept you so spry in this day and age?
Well, it's called a. Oh gosh, how do I even explain it to the unadvanced? Sorry, that's not to be rude to you. I'm sure you're properly advanced with our species at this time in our growth. It's a device made to preserve active cells for extended periods of time. A lot of life forms out here are not made of the same carbon and meat as humans, and it turns out the preservation devices used in more advanced societies actually keep the living cells of humans together without the DNA breaking apart as it does over time.
She gets very close suddenly, puts a hand on his shoulder. Tell me more.
I feel as though I'm being threatened. It's not immortality.
Does it require a yearly renewal, asking for a friend?
No, like, the breakdown starts again as soon as you leave, but it breaks down at the average human pace, so, you'd have to do it maybe every 70, 80 years.
I understand. Not useful for my needs.
It basically, you spend some time in there and it'll put you back together, and then you have about a lifetime, and then you got to go back in.
Well, a remarkable device developed by some civilization.
It was meant for food, and then they realized that I'm made of their food, but also I'm better than them, so they kept me around.
That is a fact.
You cut out there, Zach.
That is a fascinating way to phrase things.
Well, I assure you, had they the ability to eat me, they would have.
I feel like I've been in more than one similar situation.
So while y'all have been talking, Walkabout had gone into the house to get we'll say into the house to get his grandfather. Who he comes out. He's an older fella. He's probably in his 80s. He's got a cane.
Adorable.
If he heard you calling him adorable, he'd probably crack you with the cane.
Hmm.
He walks up and kind
But
of
he
looks at each of you. He really stops on Snapdragon.
Mm-hmm.
Not many of your folks venture really to the surface, and really haven't been over in our lands for a long time.
And well, they very well be the first of our current era. She introduces herself and asks asks the gentleman how he came to know of our land. It's
Speaking with the ancestors, long ago, your people went through an exploratory phase. And when he says that, Walkabout snickers. Her people were in college. He does get cracked with a cane, kind of in the meat of the arm. They were exploring the world. They were some of my ancestors encountered them. I've spoken with these ancestors in the dreaming.
I hope the encounter was a peaceful one. And if not, then I hope by eating here I could help rectify that.
Yes, generally speaking, it was. This was long ago, before war had really been introduced, and we were so far away that it was literally, I think, curiosity that brought them here, and we were curious to learn about them living underground in the great caverns and chasms. The ancestors say that your people essentially live in the old burrows of the rainbow serpent. That it would leave the hollow places in the earth as it traveled.
I see what you're saying.
And when he says that, I'm going to leave it up to you how big a thing this is in your culture. But what he describes as the rainbow serpent sounds like something out of your people's belief system. Now, it's up to you if it's like a major religious thing or if it's just some old myths like, like we think of Kronos or somebody, or, whether it's still a current religion with your people or just kind of an old half-forgotten myth. But,
That's a good question.
Up to you. But it's something that sounds vaguely familiar to something from your culture. He introduces himself as Jandamara. I said it earlier. I did a better job
That's
of it.
right. Tomorrow.
Walkabout had mentioned his grandfather's name. He gestures to his grandson. I'm sure the boy is. Well, actually, y'all were there with him. This would be the Wolf Witch. I'm sure the boy told you some of what is going on. My grandfather, in my grandfather's day, our family did you a favor. I was hoping you would return that by helping us contain an old colleague of mine who, while justifiably upset, is going too far and harming people that had nothing to do with the offense.
Good old-fashioned case of you kill the king, not the court jester.
Well, I mean, if the jester gets a little too mouthy.
Yeah, but that becomes a separate case then of him insulting you rather than the systematic oppression of a people by a ruling class.
The old man's like, anyway. Miss Wendy, have you ever heard of Bamapana? Oh, I said that one. Right.
Could you repeat yourself?
Bamapana. Bamapana. If anybody Australian ever hears this, I apologize for butchering all these names.
How's that spelled again?
BAMAPANA.
No, thank you.
I have no idea if I'm just dividing the syllables up right. Thank you.
May I roll to see if I do know?
Yes, you may give me an occult knowledge roll. This is some obscure stuff, so you'll need to roll high. Well, depending on how I roll, I guess, but the difficulty is going to be a little up there. So, 15 will probably do it though.
Nice.
Yes, and how much the use of the word term God is really appropriate with the other Aboriginal beliefs, I'm not 100% sure. But one of the great ancestor spirits, what general run-of-the-mill folk would think of as a god in this particular case, he is the god of cursing.
I like him already.
Not putting curses on people. He's literally crude and into swearing. He is essentially a trickster deity, always doing what is inappropriate. He was even known to have broken the incest taboo at one point. Which in like Greco-Roman myth and Egyptian myth and in several of these other pantheons, I can't remember about the Norse one way or the other, that's not a big deal. In Aboriginal culture, it was a big deal. And that's kind of one of his, defining things. None of the stories say, who he got with that he shouldn't have, just that he did. Wikipedia literally has like 2 or 3 lines on this guy. It's distressing. Nobody's got a pronunciation guide to his name.
Congratulations.
Hence
You'll
the
find that
foul
out about a
language
lot
earlier.
of non-European stuff.
Yes, yeah.
Yep.
Luckily, I have at least a little bit of a book I can consult. But anyway, so he's a trickster sort. He's not usually depicted as flat out evil, though. The old man's like that. Maybe why he took the boy instead of just killing him. But he can do things like illusions. So the boy here mentioned he's gesturing at walkabout. The sea life, the sharks that disappeared, they probably weren't actually sharks to begin with. That was probably an illusion. The water appears to have been real, and he's not particularly tied to the water, but he may very well have been getting a favor from some other spirit that he is. But I have reason to believe that Manaro has enlisted this ancestor's aid. What he could have offered him, how he had gotten his aid, I haven't an idea. He's very fond of pranks, so if he found it amusing, I could see him being talking to something like this. But considering murders involved, his pranks might lead to death, but it was rarely a plan. Murder was not the plan, though, if you understand me. But he can be a physical threat, which is one reason why I wish to gain your aid, Miss Wendy. I know your magics are a little more combative in the physical world.
I will deal with the issue at hand, yes. Do you care what happens to the boy?
Walkabout looks alarmed when you say that. The kidnapped young man, as far as I know, he's innocent. It'd be very nice if we could return him to his family.
Very well, I'll rein myself in.
You know, the intention here is to preserve life. As I said, the patriarch of this family, I have no real sympathy for. He truthfully brought this on himself. But if somebody does something to me, I'm going to do something back to them. I'm not going to go attack their family. Well, he's just gone too far. If he just hit the old man and left it alone, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation. But we need to wrap up. What'd be a good spot to wrap up? Anyway, he invites you all inside. He is going to, well, with Miss Wendy's help, try basically like a divination sort of thing. He's been able to track some of the travels of Manaru as he has popped in and out of the dreaming. People such as himself, and he's saying it's, less to Wolf Witch because she's already in the magical know. But he mentions people like myself can travel through the dreaming, as you all experienced. My grandson is particularly apt at it. And nothing else.
That's not
Harsh.
He seems socially graced.
Oh, he's a fine boy, don't get me wrong. But I mean as far as anything else I could teach him.
Oh, you mean magically?
Yes, he travels like that instinctively. He could do it as a child.
It's like, sigh, yes, we love him anyway.
No. He's a fine man. Search and rescue, helps people. I'm very proud of him. Reaches up and pats him on the cheek. But
couldn't he also just kill someone by grabbing them, walking through that, and then letting them go?
At the full height,
joke.
perhaps. As you've experienced.
Well, also, couldn't he just dump them in the middle of the ocean?
Oh hell yes, I suppose he could.
That's when he puts on some shoulder pads and calls himself.
I mean, it seems like he may have a very specific ability, but it has uses.
Well, travel's not useless. I don't mean to imply that. It's just he's not a full-fledged magician, I guess, to use your European terms.
Oh, you're right. I am kind of coming in here with a specific mindset. I would like to apologize for that.
Very conscientious.
Walking through the dreaming is a delicate and capricious art, and to use it to end another's life would be the closest thing to blasphemy I can think of.
It would be, sacrilegious. And also not terribly reliable. If he were to drop you, you would exit the dreaming at some point back into the physical world, back into our time. You might do it from high up, you might do it from low down, and just because you're dropped from high up in the dreaming doesn't mean you would exit it moving at that speed. I'm sure you were alarmed at how fast you approached the ground when the boy was carrying you. Yet when you land, it was a very gentle. So, if you pop back into our time high enough up, then yes, dropping them would still be effective. But it might only drop. You might only drop back in at 10 feet, which is a survivable fall. So even if someone wanted to use it as assassinations, that would be a most reliable way to do it. Never mind the ancestors getting upset at you and. Well, anyway. The boy knows better to become an assassin. But I was able to detect Manaru going in and out of the dreaming. And then the incident I was looking for him when I detected the incident at the beach. It's rare for the ancestor spirits to leave the dreaming for any period of time, any long period of time. It's actually quite alarming. He says that in a completely just kind of, he doesn't sound alarmed. He sounds very calm. But
Do you know if there could be any negative consequences to an ancestor who leaves the dreaming for too long? Their physical or mental state. Physical being a relative term, mind you.
I think they would be more uncomfortable the longer they were here. Nothing particularly stops them. It's not as though it's unhealthy for them. Though I'm not sure what would happen if they were killed in real time, or in our time. Many of them have, died in the stories, in the dreaming, but they still exist because there is no time. And in some ways, there is no time in the dreaming. Some European scholars prefer to refer to it as the dream time, but that implies that it's in the past and not currently in existence with us. Think of all time as happening at once in the dreaming. With practice, you can kind of sort through where you need to be to speak to any given ancestor. But it all kind of happens at once. So crap, I can't remember if Banaparam was killed in one of his stories or not. But it means even if one dies, that doesn't preclude it popping up to talk to you or to come here and do something. It just did, from its point of view, that's just something it did before it met its end. There isn't really any endings. And then he realizes he's gone into like lecture mode, and y'all are just standing around him, with stuff to do while he's talking.
Muck Boot sits there. A fourth dimensional pocket dimension of which you are ethereal and can contact. Man, this would take a lot. This would take a lot to
Landshark
build
will lean over
this.
to Muck Boot. Is that English?
Well, conceptually, I understand what he's saying, but
As long as someone does.
the analog of it would take so much computing power just to get it to work. I'm not even sure anybody has something built for that yet. But of course, magic being magic, it's ahead of its time.
The old man is just shaking his head. It would be more accurate to say that our world is the pocket of something bigger.
Well, yes, we are just a gear in an universal cog of machinations we cannot understand.
Yet.
Well, I mean,
He
even
just
within
smiles
ourselves, there are
sinisterly
micro.
as he says that.
I'm sorry. So what?
And she just smiles a little sinisterly as she says that. Eyes far off in the distance.
Did you make like a deal with the devil or something? We need to fight for you.
I have made deals with things before, but that is neither here nor there, and it is quite impolite to discuss people who are not here that I am aware of.
Fair enough.
Go ahead.
I give all due respect to any entities of which you are contracted to, which could also do me harm.
I'm just picturing Muck Boot. So, where does your immortality come from? Could it be Satan?
Well,
But
all Muck Boot knows
that
is-
occurs to me because me and Curtis were talking about
You didn't hear the
Saturday Night
Muck
Live
Boot
earlier.
Wolfwitch conversation while you were gone.
Oh no, I did not. Only the tail end of it.
Wolfwitch was very interested in the thing that kept me from dying.
Oh yeah, I did catch that part. Yeah. So he carries you in there. or into kind of this lodge area in the back. He picks up I think they just call it a smoke stick. It's this thing that kind of shake and it spreads, kind of like incense. It's something another emu bush is the leaves they burn, but they do it as a purification thing. It's supposed to keep away evil spirits. Interestingly, the leaves, when warmed up, do have like an antimicrobial effect. And they used it a lot, like when women were giving birth or they were circumcising someone, which I didn't know was an Aboriginal thing, but apparently it is. And
It pops up in cultures all over the place.
yeah. I just didn't realize Aboriginal specifically. So their culture had slowly, basically over time, had started using this thing in spots where you could sit there and go, okay, it would stop infections. That's kind of neat. But anyway, he's doing it as part of some ritual. Because superhero world, there's actual evil spirits to run off. So potentially. As he does that, y'all are just getting ready to start. He's explaining to Wolf Witch the ritual he's going to do. It's been a long time, but she has been part of this before. It's how she found out that none of the ancestral spirits were really interested in talking to her. Or suggested that she go home and talk to her ancestral spirits.
I can't blame them. I was a much less interesting person back then.
But a teenage girl comes running in, 13-ish. Talking about there being a big fight. She's watching TV and, there's a big fight at the, well, it's not the Capitol, I forget which, I'll have to look up what city it is, but basically, there's a fight at a hospital, which he says the hospital gets her gets to be her great grandfather, but anyway, gets the old man's attention. That's where they were keeping the old man tenant. So y'all all shuffle out to the TV. Yeah, you see the outside of the hospital. There's a few obvious superheroes in combat with. Strange creatures. There's a variety of them. It's not like one form. Some of them would come off as kind of demonic-y, or monstrous. Some of them look like animal people. You seem to have two superpowered people involving them, or engaging them, I should say. And as well as a lot of police presence. The reporter is talking about the fact that this retired politician is in the hospital there. That, he was attacked previously, and that there are some creatures in the hospital already. That it's, the heroes outside are fighting. They're being not overrun like they're losing. There's just more creatures than they can keep out.
Where is this hospital? How far away?
It's on the west coast. No, excuse me. Kind of northeast coast of the continent. Walkabout rattles off the address. He goes, I can get us there pretty quick. I'm not having to go trans-specific or anything.
I would appreciate it. It's a little bit quicker than my teleportation spells.
The young lady wants to go and get shot down by both her great-grandfather and her uncle, which is what you figure out Walkabout is.
tell a child they can't go on a hunt. I'm not gonna get involved in this.
You just mumble it under your breath, and she's like, I know, right?
Best way to gain experience is to go on a hunt.
I mean, I can do
But-
more in the dreaming than he can.
Well, okay, now that's just rude. Don't be disrespectful. You can be angry, but don't be disrespectful.
You should let her come. It'll be good experience for her.
The old man's like, no, she's staying. She has talent, but she cannot keep serious enough in the dreaming. She's too easily distracted to be sending somewhere dangerous.
I understand. I will comment no further.
He does tell her, you can watch him leave, though. And anyway, Walkabout takes all your hand, or takes two of your hands. Everybody holds hands, whether it's in one line or a line off each of his hands, whichever.
Lion Shark will be like, wait, we're supposed to be serious?
Walkabout's like, oh yeah, no laughing in the dream time. Or in the dream.
I can put you to sleep for the duration of the trip if need be.
It's gonna be a silent 57 seconds. It'll be okay.
Yeah, he's like, if you distract me too much, we could crash or overshoot and wind up in the ocean or a number of things. So quiet as a mouse. So he grabs your hand. There's the 3 quick steps in the hallway. He didn't even bother to step outside. And you feel that jerk. And where everything goes to that kind of overlapping double exposure kind of thing, the old man and the young girl still look solid as y'all take off. She's smiling, kind of does that number as y'all zip by. Because, her uncle moves a lot faster than most people do. And we'll go ahead and wrap here. We got started 20 minutes late, but it's 20 minutes after 4, so this is a good even spot to stop at. And we'll start off. Dropped a fair number of frames. I don't know what's going on. So we'll start up next session with your arrival at the hospital. As you continue to investigate what Manaro, excuse me. I got to start writing this stuff down with pronunciation, guys. What exactly he's up to. I mean, other than just attacking these people. Why did he attack 2 and kidnap 1? And we should find all that out next time. To anybody that comes by and watches this later, I hope you enjoyed it. Hope my players had fun. I had fun running.
Oh, yeah.
It was a blast.
And again, I was your GM for the day, Jason. We had Curtis playing Landshark, Mike playing Snapdragon, Taylor playing Muckboot, and Zach playing Wolfwitch. And I promise, Zach, next session you can start playing at the beginning.
You're fine.
I had all these little bits plotted out and did not think about the time they would take or what order I should have had them in. But anyway, hope everybody comes back next time, and we will see you then.
Bye-bye.